Hi, welcome to Sylvie's Technique Vlog. So in this vlog I'm going to be talking about paying attention to where your feet are. This is a two-step process. One is just learning where your feet are, so where they're coming down off of your strikes, where you're stepping when you're walking, this kind of thing. After you've figured out where your feet are, once you've become conscious of it, that's when you can start working on dictating where your feet are and how you move. So the first time that I really noticed a lot about this was actually when I was doing my private with Duuglas-Ittu for the patron library. And I noticed that the way that he cut me off in the ring all the time, it was just constantly where his feet were, which was really, really cool. So I started paying attention to it just in where my feet were when they were coming off of strikes and kind of being in line with things and things like this. So immediately, for people who are watching this free portion, I'm going to talk more about this when I go over for my patrons. So if you're not yet a patron, follow the link in the description. You can see the rest of this video over there. If you are a patron, you're going to be watching the whole thing. But so basically the way to work on this first, again, is just realizing where your feet are so that you understand where your balance is. But something I've been doing on the bag, basically, to figure out where my feet are landing all the time, is I get on a bag like this, and then when I kick and I'm coming off of it, I'm paying attention to my feet always being on the outside. Because when I was with Duuglas-Ittu, his feet were always outside of mine. So for example, if you're going to kick, your foot comes down to the outside, and then Krunu really likes me to not switch my stance and just kick with the front leg. In order to do that, I've realized that I have to step a little bit outside of the opponent in order to bring that up. So it's the same thing. If the bag is right in front of you, you're always putting your feet on either side of the bag. So I'll put this on the ground so that you can see where my feet are real quick. So that works for knees and kicks and how you cut people off, how you punch, how you move, all of it. So I'm going to talk more about this for my patrons. Again, follow the link in the description if you want to see it, and I'll talk a little bit more about foot position there. So in the Muay Thai library, there are three people who really, really stand out to me as talking about, or at least focusing on, where feet are. They don't explicitly talk about it. It's something I've become more aware of, and so I've started noticing it in what people are teaching me. So Duuglas-Ittu was the first one that I was like, holy shit, this guy's cutting me off at all times because of where his feet are. Then with Ajahn Net, who I just trained with, he's southpaw, and when he's facing an orthodox opponent, he's constantly putting his front foot outside their front foot to land things. Duuglas-Ittu does the same thing. When he's landing his knees, he steps right on your foot to the outside of it so that his knee comes through you. And then ultimately, the person who talks, or at least focuses the most on where your feet are, never really talking about it, but you see it in everything that he does, is Chachai. So Chachai Sasakun, watch any of his videos in the Muay Thai library and you will see so much focus on the feet. He's really cool to watch because what I was just doing on the bag is all about where you're standing and landing for your kicks and your knees. He focuses mostly on hands because he's a former WBC boxer, but all of it translates directly into Muay Thai. So something that he does, like when you're hitting on the bag or something, you're bringing your feet across the opponent like this when you're punching. You want to do that same thing with the knees. So what Duuglas-Ittu does is when he's walking forward, he steps right outside the opponent's foot, and then the knee comes up like through the opponent. So I've been working on this just walking around in the ring, even how I shadow box. I've been doing it on the bag, and I've been trying to focus on how I'm standing and where I'm stepping when I'm with my pad holder. When I'm following Krunu around, he is huge compared to me. So my steps are actually really important in how close to him I ever am. And I noticed that when I was coming off of my kicks, again, first step is just noticing where your feet are at any given moment. I was coming off of my kicks and my feet were like in a line with each other. So I came up with this trick that I'll show you guys. I made a very short vlog about this before, but I call it a spacer. And so I took this suitcase bag pad and I put it down on the ground so that when I shadow, I can actually use it as a spacer for where my foot is going to come down off of my kicks. I was kicking and coming down like this. So you create a spacer so that you kick and come down. Kick and come down. Kick and come down. Kick and come down. You can see my balance is still a little bit off on that. That's because you have to practice these things all the time. You have to drill them to the point, not in drill, but like actually use them in everything you're doing so that you just feel it and it starts to feel really natural. So as I'm walking around in shadow boxing, I'm constantly feeling where my feet are, where they're coming down, where I'm stepping outside of someone, how close I am, how close my foot is to their foot. When I'm punching, if my punch is like veering off this way, I know that my back leg is not being the rudder that it needs to be, and I kind of step it out a little bit wider and bounce forward on the punch, and it comes out much straighter. So check out the Namsak Noi, Chat Chai, any of the Chat Chai, and the most recent Ajahn Net. Those are all really, really good for where your feet are for the Muay Thai library. Thank you to my patrons for making this possible. Thank you for watching all the way through, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Here's an addendum to the technique vlog that I was just thinking about. And again, these are technique vlogs, so this is just me thinking about techniques and kind of ruminating on them, because it's not just put your foot here. The thing about knowing where your feet are and learning to be aware of where your feet are is it's where your feet are. So saying you need to step wider or you need to bring your foot back farther, compared to what? Like, some people need to bring it wider, some people don't. Some people are stepping too wide, some people are doing things totally differently. So basically the cheat, or like the hack, I guess, because Americans really like hacks, the idea is just to find your balance. Like, where are you balanced? And that's where you need to be in where you're stepping to cut off your opponent, or to get close enough to your opponent, or when you're coming off of strikes to be able to have the next one. So for me, my where are my feet, it's been a thing of like, where is my foot when I'm done kicking? Where is my foot when I'm trying to cut someone off? Where is my foot when I'm throwing that punch? And it's becoming aware of your body mapping. It's not copying someone else's. It's using the techniques that someone else is using in order to find where your balance is. So that's why I find this whole project that I have right now of where are your feet interesting and fun. 10 cow,